Merry Christmas to everyone. We're here on North Head on a beautiful summer's day. Lovely to have summer with us finally, and a nice gentle light nor'easter, and that predicts very well for tomorrow. We're less than 24 hours away from the race start of the Relic Sydney Hobart Yacht Race 2022. A fleet of 109 yachts, which range from 100 foot, the big Supermaxes as they were once called, right the way down to little 30 footers. And in between, 13 TP52s and I believe at the last count 22-handers, so a very diverse fleet, and wonderfully having some internationals back on the scene as well. Based on the forecast, the owners of the 100 footers must have been very good all through 2022, because they're getting a late Christmas present with northerlies all the way, and good strong ones too as the race progresses. What happens in the Derwent, of course, is another matter. Whether that means a race record, a little difficult to tell at this point. The wind's probably a little square, in other words, just a little bit too far behind them, but it only has to tip a few degrees either side of that, and then suddenly it's all on and race records are real. Race records, just to remind you, in 2017 by Andu Comanche, formerly Comanche, 1 day, 9 hours and 15 minutes, so that's a hell of a sprint. And as Mark Bradford called it, you're in the zombie apocalypse zone at that point. Things are getting pretty tired, but it is a sprint for those guys, not a marathon. The big question for the rest of the fleet is who is going to get past that wind gate on Wednesday afternoon, because that northerly stream runs all the way through till about mid-afternoon Wednesday, and then the high that's been sitting in the bight kind of nudges this cold front through, and the winds reverse and come from the south, probably for the better part of 12 to 24 hours. If you miss that gate, the chances of actually getting through in the faster end of the fleet, the Mini-Maxes and the TP52s, and getting the much coveted Tattersall Trophy for the overall winner could be a little bit marginal. We spoke yesterday to all of the representatives of the 100 footers. You'll see those interviews coming up shortly, but in particular we spoke to Mark Bradford about what it meant with this sort of wind, and he talked about VMG running. That gets talked about a great deal, so tomorrow hopefully we'll find a bit of time to explain to you what that means, because while they may be doing completely different tracks at different speeds, there's a very good chance all four will end up on the corner at Cape Rowell and Tasman Island at the same time. It's entirely possible we get 4 Supermaxes in the river at the same time. Who knows? Remains to be seen. For the ones to watch in the TP52s, I think most eyes are on Caro. She's been producing some real surprises. We don't have the previous winners in this year from the TP52. I think my second point of interest would be Sunrise, Tom Cunneen's JPK, which won the Fastnet. Really interesting crew as well, mostly Corinthian, done extraordinarily well, and wonderful to see them come out from Britain. In the two-handers, I'd be interested to see how Rupert Henry and Greg O'Shea go in Mistral. For those of you that were watching, Rupert Henry was out of the race in the first night, in fact, last year, and then went off and did the Route de Rome this year, but unfortunately got structural damage and had to pull his boat out for that. So he's been going well in the short amount of time he and Greg have been on the water here with Mistral. Pretty Woman, it's a real favourite for us, just because it's such a brilliant mixed crew of youngsters and olders, and Richard Hudson really does a wonderful job bringing the youth into sailing, so we'd be interested to see how they go. And then finally, sentimental favourites, Gunrunner and Currawong. We always get a picture of those guys at the back end of the fleet. Amazing. They're going to have a very long race. They're going to be hitting some headwinds as well further down the track, but those guys just keep plugging away until they get there. So tomorrow, we, Bowcaddy Media team, are going to be out on the water and up in the air. Dale and I are flying in the chopper, and we've got our team on the water. We'll be getting you plenty of coverage, and we'll be going down to Hobart the day after and hopefully bringing you all the news from there. Look forward to it, and see you on the water.